So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into music?
My name is Jonathan David Starr, aka J1. I'm an MC, producer, been a poet since I was a child. Um, I make conscious, revolutionary type hip hop. Um, Played for many moons. Probably, let's see, first shows when I was, teenager, 16. Been writing rhymes since I was 12. Done all the stuff, battles. I was an activist as a young teenager and in my early 20s, so I definitely fused the music and the message, um, you know, so.
And why did you pick hip hop as the genre you want to work in?
Oh man, I didn't pick hip hop. I feel like the spirit of hip hop somehow almost picked me. Like I definitely was an elusive factor, kind of running from it even early on, especially moving from New York to San Francisco to here, and hip hop not really making sense here. Like there was nothing here,
In California?
just in the
Or
Central Coast, yeah. And sorry, and but that hip hop culture and the vibe is definitely in my bones from day one. It's what I could hear through my barred windows, in the city growing up, man, in the streets, and it's always been in me. It's been an interesting thing, like how I even discovered that. So I still trip on it, but honestly, in the purest sense of it being so tribal and almost primal, and you know, something that is shared on a community level, like just people coming together and opening and sharing truth. That always stuck with me from the beginning. I think at this point, I'm just seeking to honor, staying true to that and actually bringing that to the Central Coast has always been a goal of mine. And even when I was younger, just being like, man, I hope someday I can bring that beautiful, expansive, like conscious culture to the Central Coast and help them to truly understand, that pure nature of it versus the, stigmatized or like fearful, like whether it's gangster or, hidden racisms or just things like that. Just like being done with that and being open to something that is very progressive and helps people heal on deeper levels and free themselves. And so to me, that's more what hip hop is. It's a movement that helps you get free, and it helps us share commonalities and share our truths with each other. So it's a beautiful thing, man.
definitely. And amongst the hip hop genre, how do you think the subgenre, I guess, of conscious hip hop fits in or distinguishes itself from the rest of hip hop?
I actually believe that that's at the root of it, even though you could argue all day on surface levels about, partying and, block party, you know, origins of this thing, like rather a deeper need of the people to express themselves and to feel free to express themselves in a natural way, not in a contained way or like something that caters to what is acceptable in a society or like what they've been told or taught. More like what is actually in you. How do you feel, and share that. And I feel like this subgenre actually is the underlying thing that sustains even hip hop as a genre is truthful energy, something that is very powerful and inspirational, that is the glue. So even though it may be seemingly a newer discovery, so to speak, in certain parts of this country, it's definitely always been there. And I think that's the beauty of it. I think staying true to hip hop is acknowledging your individual unique self and really offering it up with confidence and soul and beauty and intelligence. Even if the pop culture has gone a completely different direction, there always seems to remain what I actually call like an understream of truthful energy that keeps it alive, and helps that fire, and to me that's what it is. It's about sharing just on a personal and community level. Like I've never like sought out even for people to know my face or my name. Just like, how about let's just share what we really care about? What do we really think about when we lay down at night, and what is really on our minds, what's in our heart, and how can we bring that to the surface without fear, and just be okay with it with each other, trusting in that with each other, and elevating each other with it. And I've seen, very powerful things take place, throughout the years at shows and not at shows, and just on the street, opening discussions about what people truly think about and what they care about, and in a non-aggressive fashion, in a way that lets each person speak and share, and is reciprocated, wholeheartedly, in that circle. So, yeah.
There's definitely a community vibe, and what I thought was interesting about checking out your music and especially in the lyrics is uh, you get you get the feeling that you're expressing yourself, but also that you're creating a larger conversation that you want to pull people into, and it's not just about you, the artist.
Yeah. You know, I guess side note, I was very blessed to not only go to school for holistic medicine, but also meet some very amazing people and teachers that kind of took me under their wing in my early 20s. A shaman and a Reiki master, and um, you know, I was schooled in a very old world sense, where I spent a decade learning about metaphysics and about healing, and how to open ourselves in a natural way and in powerful ways. And in that sense, learning the true connected nature of humankind. And that even if some could argue my music may be seemingly dark on the surface, it actually is reflecting the deeper fire of like seeking out the healing of yourself at your core, and expanding on that, and really discovering what human potential is, and like the power of it, and the peace that accompanies it. And I'll say also, other side note, the album that was most recently released is called Numerica, and it has this very post-apocalyptic feel, and yet it was created by me in a time after, I was married, and my wife had cystic fibrosis, and she passed away. And so that album was made right after that. And it was in a place of pain, but also honoring her and the life of somebody that I witnessed that was, born with a terminal illness and lived to the fullest sense every moment of her life with being absolutely, in the moment and in love with the moment. And so honoring that thing that just blew my mind, and so it's kind of like the mix of, almost a metaphor for the human condition of like, that we are fragile and we're finite in a sense, but we also are infinite in a sense, and we also have unlimited potential and beauty, and have the ability to tap into balance and peace, and also do it in the midst of hardships and destructive elements in this world. So, yeah.
That one line in particular, one of the first lines that really caught my attention off the Numerica album, was in the song Machine. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it went, the American dream is just a Ponzi scheme to turn a man into a battery.
Please.
Please, right? Yeah. Well, that I think that's right along in the lines of the human potential that you're talking about, and also where it gets used or where it gets siphoned at times.
Yeah, I would say there's an infinite fountainhead that pours life out, and we can draw upon it endlessly. And that song Machine is about people that have tried to contain and limit and define and actually steal power from this thing that can never be depleted, and kind of like almost like a laughing, like laughing at, like a joke of like you're trying to create something that will never be, but you are fooling some people. But that in the song also believing in that kind of uncanny like core light that exists within all of us that overcomes everything that is thrown at it and has the ability to do so. And so kind of just, the song Machine is like almost like an ode to Pink Floyd, just being like, welcome to the machine. What are you going to do with this though? Like, yes, you see it and maybe you're in it, but do you believe that, or do you believe that you have the power to move beyond it and to actually, exist in the freest sense, in the organic sense, like natural sense? Like I said, even in the midst of it, still being alive and awake, and not letting it steal your power. And
So, are you trying to challenge people to embrace themselves? Or are you trying to challenge people's sense of authority amongst each other? Or
I'd say all of the above. I'd say encouraging the light that is within everybody, and the truth that on some level everybody can feel what is right, what is balance, and they can also feel what is not. And so the music is kind of a multifaceted approach of like, I believe in you. Like, you are an amazing being with infinite potential. And now I'm going to challenge you with some things that may not always be spoken out loud. That there's kind of like these hidden, almost like nuances of culture that keep us afraid to just talk about what we really think. And I've spent so much of my life, studying not only metaphysics, but, what you could call spirituality and all the different belief systems and modalities, and just kind of on a mission to just educate myself enough that I could be anywhere, anytime with anybody, and just at least have enough information to share come from a, like, put myself in their shoes, basically, like, as much as possible, so that I could be open to them, and so that they would not feel judged or like I had an agenda. Just share who you are with me, and in that sense, we can really like share and elevate each other by just continuing to share. And so this is my way of sharing, basically. My
That yeah, I was to say that is that how you extend it or further, but into your music? Is that how do you relate that intention back to the message of your music um, as the vehicle, I guess?
well, I think part of me has often wondered if I even am in control of this. Like, um, I honestly feel, as much as I've battled with feeling different when I was younger, now I feel very empowered by it. Like, it's very clear to me that the intention is a very pure thing, that I just want to be with people and I want to help them know that they're not alone and that I believe in the goodness that is within them. And because of that, I'm wanting to share a message that um, may stir some stuff up, may cause, you know, the ego to really expose itself and to show the fallacy of the ego in its truest sense of like that it is not always serving the highest purpose of you and your path, and that the ego is a natural part of the psyche that is necessary, but it's not the part that should be getting so much attention and satiation, and just, you know, it's very misleading. And I think just coming back to like a center of um, you know, I do my art and share it with you, and it's real simple, and I want to know what you have to share with me. Um, and there's no judgment, there's no preconceived like conspiratorial like points of view. It's really that I believe that as we open more, truth in this world unveils itself more. And so I think just in the time period of training in the healing arts and in metaphysics, trying to apply those techniques, but in a way that is relevant to the West and a driven society that never stops, that really requires some shock, you know, to kind of hit it for a second and be like, whoa, what? Like, and so that's more where like the words stem from, is shock value. Like, you know, but with a purpose of gentle guidance towards healing. So it's more just like getting, you know, trying to get attention, not for myself, but like, you know,
To catch people's attention so they can
right.
listen to
Yeah.
get the message that you want to get across. That reminds me. Does that relate in any way to another line from the song? Is it UNO or Uno?
Uno.
Uno. Look at the freedom that lies. Look at the fear in the eyes. Looking at hypnotized versions of broken disguise.
Yeah.
Is that along those lines of what you're talking about, or tell us more about what that means?
You actually picked one of my favorite lines of all the thousands and thousands of lyrics that I've written in my life. Look at the fear in the eyes, meaning not necessarily look at the fear that's in their eyes, but look into the eyes of fear and see that it has no power over you, and see that it actually is a vulnerable place, that it has pain and that may need your love, look into fear itself and see that it needs your love. And in that, you may just find the very thing that sets you free. You know, versions of broken disguise, almost like the societal results of programming. People from day one being taught this is what you are, this is what you need to be, this is what you need to believe, this is the only stuff that matters. And now seeing the very hollow results, the people that have dedicated themselves to these falsehoods essentially now are perfect examples of what not to do. you know so yeah, man, I love that song a lot, actually. It's funny how many people after shows were, just like, especially in a show where I do a bunch of like kind of just darker, heavy, hard hitting songs all back to back to back, and you're just like, ah. But then at the end of the show, I get a bunch of hugs and people thanking me, from kids to old people, everybody in between. Hell's Angels dudes teared up one time, like, just like, I don't know what you did to me, man. And it's like, it's not me doing anything. It's just me taking a chance of speaking, almost like being vulnerable myself. Like, how many of you write in journals and write how you feel, but you don't ever share it with anybody? Like, imagine, and then what is like the number one fear of people is like public speaking. It's like, man, take your most personal thoughts and go share them with the public, but watch how much that it sets you free. And I always tell people that, that even if it's terrifying, it may just lead you to an unexpected freedom and and a washover of peace. And so yeah, man, I love that song. I love that hook for sure.
Yeah, that's a great one. Especially these days, it seems like the people in the country are easily divided. What do you think art and creativity can do to bring people together?
Well, now you're talking my language. I've been known to say it openly that I believe art is the only thing that can save us. And because the divide and conquer technique is age old, it's happening again. And it's not just on a surface level, it's now being directed, internally. And so people learning to be mindful of that very highly calculated, almost agenda, if you will, that, art has no rules. Like, real art has no rules, no boundaries. And if it's real, then it will be coming from a truthful place. And that's, again, back to the power of truthful energy, that it literally is a powerful vibration in itself that has not only the ability to shock and to stir things up, but also to heal. And so art in itself, it could be the very last thing that, as this country rapidly kind of escalates and progresses towards fascist, communist, socialist, patriotic, psychotic, iconic, myopic compromise. Like, there is this very basic thing that's just laying back in the cut, that's art, that's like not going anywhere. And no matter, it's not about money, it's an element that's within us, the creative element that responds almost to oppressive components that almost like the more you try to like hold it down, the greater its power and its fire becomes. And so we're in a time period where, on the surface, there's tons of art in the mainstream that's garbage because there's nothing in it that's truthful. But then on the flip side, whether you call it in the underground or just with the people, there's this thing, man, that is growing that nothing has the power over it. Not politics, no government. You can't turn it off or on. You can't pay money to keep it from happening. It will happen because it's within us. And that's kind of what I subscribe to, is like, even some would say I'm a very spiritual person, but I would actually be like, man, art is really what it is to me, like where it's at. And that's just acknowledging us as creators, that we actually are co-creators of our lives and of this world. And if we share it, we can do great things. So I just believe in that. I see it as probably the only way out.
Yeah, it's something that allows us to share together and kind of figure out this world we're in. I think you do that well in the message you get across, where you are encouraging people to embrace all that is in life and the ups and downs, and to like you said, not shut out anything and give it more power. You embrace it. Your lyrics talk about protest and social upheaval and conflict, but also love and appreciation and uplifting people. Um, where do you go from here?
You know, it's real simple to me. I just believe in the absolute importance of being with people. So, in that, kind of what that means is I don't have a set agenda beyond a very simple intention of, like, no matter what, wherever I'm at, whoever I'm with, that I will just be in that moment, and I will try to recognize, is there anything that I can help bring balance to? And whether that means with the person that's just having a bad day, to a person with, you know, severe things going on in their life, or to a crowd of people, or a group of friends at the beach. It's not all serious. I'm very laid back and fun loving, super dork. But at the same time, I've always dreamed of being part of something. I guess I believe that I was born in this country for a reason. And I kind of what I've called being born in the belly of the beast. Like, the ones that are born in this country have a unique, almost advantage and vantage point. And they've been strengthened through years of resisting conditioning in comparison to anybody born outside of it. So, like, as much as I've, like, daydreamt of escaping this place, I also acknowledge that, well, who else is going to do it except for the ones that are here now and recognizing what is needed and actually care about it. And so, you know, beyond making art and beyond all the healing work that I do with people and the counseling, even as a bartender, like, just being wholeheartedly in the moment with people, even if they're drunk, even if they're buzzed and they're repeating the same things, like, to be there wholeheartedly with them changes the game. And I've witnessed it enough in my life to know that that's true. And so I don't really sit around questioning what's next because my life is taken care of, and I don't really know how to explain it beyond the right things just find me all the time in the right moments. And if I just let go, it's always beautiful and perfect, even if I can't understand it in that moment. And I've just learned to trust that. And so having an agenda doesn't really exist as much as having a mindful living intention every single day. Just to be, but be wide open, and also to see where I'm needed and just to act without hesitation or question. And just being in that flow has never steered me wrong. Um, it's always brought amazing blessings, into my life. Even like I said, I just had my first kid. His name is Onyx Elijah Starr. And his mom, Raina, man, I, I couldn't say enough about how much my life is blessed with them. And it stirs a greater fire in me, but it also stirs a greater peace in me. So, like, I was just offered a show to play at a Democratic convention.
Wow.
In front of thousands of people. And the guy approached me and he was like, "Oh, your message, and I feel like you'd be perfect for this younger demographic. We're trying to da 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 da." But in my mind or in my heart, I feel like it's providence. It's because I'm not seeking anything for my ego that I really believe that these things just like present themselves sometimes that almost you're just like, what? Like, how much is my retainer fee? Like, what? Like, I do this on the street, man, for free. Like, I don't, and I do love, shows are my favorite because it's just interacting with people. So, of course, I would love to interact with as many people as I can, but also really over the years of playing hundreds and hundreds of shows, I love the intimate setting too, like almost the most, where people know your lyrics and people are there for like a poetic experience or just an experience of some sort, and like they're open to that. And so I guess we'll see what happens, at a big show like that. But I don't know, I just don't find any point or use of questioning kind of this natural flow that I just allow myself to be in instead of trying to do anything. I just trust. And I'm always taken care of, strangely, whether it's monetarily, financially, or food on the table or a roof over my head, so I don't know if that answers your question, but
Definitely. No, I can totally relate to what you're saying. Be the water. Right?
yeah, exactly.
Where can people hear and follow your music and find out when your shows are and stuff?
Well, I got tons of stuff on the internet. I try to have it all out there. On that note, I was red flagged by the feds several years ago for my music because I was giving it away for free. And at such a high rate of downloads that they actually somehow caught wind of it, and contacted me. And I didn't even believe them at first. I was like, ah.
What were they saying? What kind of repercussions could
They
you
were
face?
just threatening. So my first slap on the hand was they just removed every trace of me on the internet. and threatened me like, basically, you need to tone your message down. It's walking strangely close to like terrorism or something, and which I I guess back then, because I didn't care.
When was this?
So this was about 8 years ago.
Okay. Just give us a little reference. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, in the time between then and now, my whole approach has been different. It's like I would say it's much more, I guess, mindful of what I am putting out, and not in a way that is. And actually, look at that. And the reason this is why I brought it up. I look at it like it was a blessing in disguise that actually helped me to shift the vibration of my music back to a place that was much more palatable for the average person versus like just this one demographic of revolutionary type thinkers, like almost like pure just motivational like speaker for these more extremist types, and nothing violent, but just more like, you know fuck the bullshit, like this is what we gotta do. And now I would actually say that happening helped me to step back and see that to really be effective within this system without letting it crush you, you need to be steps ahead of it. So thanks to them, went back to the drawing board and learned how to be steps ahead of them and to learn kind of the inside outs of their game and their approach. And so kind of show me what not to do and what to do better. And also made me become more disciplined and less unhinged. So, but it is something that I like to bring up sometimes with the crowd, because it shows that maybe freedom of speech is not what you thought, and that we are in a dangerous time right now where if we blow it, we're going to lose freedom of speech truly. And that's why art is so important. And that's something to think about is, as I always tell people on stage, like if you can combine the power of your words, the power of your love, and the power of your actions, if you could put those three things together, you would become this force, man, to be reckoned with in this society, and not in a way that is dangerous to the government or anybody, just something that resonates so much truth and so much pure love and energy that you would affect change everywhere you went. And I encourage people to really meditate on that. How can you put the power of your love, your words, and your actions together? What version of you would that create? And to believe in that, and to believe in yourself, even if nobody else does, towards that end of, if you can combine those things, you'll discover a very magical, intriguing life that is always manifesting things that open you more and challenge you more and draw the best of you to the surface and keep you growing, keep you sharp, so yeah.
I think that's a great message that everybody needs to hear.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, J1. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and give us more about your mission and your message with your music.
Thank you, brother.
Keep us informed, and I know you got a new album coming out soon, right? That you're working on? What's that called?
So I got a couple different things going on. I have an EP called Gypsy Boom Bap that is almost done. And that's gonna be a smaller album, but it's dope. It's kind of what I would call old, like the roots into the future. You know, like the old school boom bap, but like the future sound and message. And I am working on an album right now called Underground Revolution that is epic. Like some of the beats, man, they give me chills and they have stirred something in me that it's going to be huge. I can feel it. And, you know, so you can always find me at the Baywood Ale House here in Los Osos, you know, on 3rd and Santa Maria. I'm bartending. I have shirts for sale, albums for sale, you know, and all that I use the money for is just put back into the art. And so if you appreciate what I'm doing, you want to see more, any energy you throw my way will always come back to you and will always be appreciated. You know, so thank you guys. Thank you, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate this.
We appreciate the art and the positive input that you put in.
Thanks.
We're all looking forward to the future.
Yeah. Be there together.
What you do makes a difference.